Loud and play. Oh, nope. I have to start sharing my screen first. All right. Share screen. Share. Now hit play. There I am. All right. Thanks for joining us today. And of course, thanks for watching the first minute of me getting everything set. Take some time there. But Debbie and I today back to role playing. So I love role playing and a lot of agents that I talk to every day, I always say, okay, a little bit of role play, you're the other agent or you're the buyer. This is what I would say, that kind of thing. I love that. That's just the way I communicate with what I'm saying. And even to agents, I did it already twice today. They say, what should I tell the other agent by text? And I just text it out. Is it cut and paste this? That kind of thing. So I love these kind of things. And remember anything, we're just trying to give you good 20 minutes, 25 minutes of some examples and things. But if you want to go one-on-one, Debbie and I are happy to do this with you one-on-one and show you and whatever topic it is. So just give us time to put it on our calendar and we'll happy to do that with you. So, all right, Deb, what's the first slide here? How to
Okay,
talk to
so
your
last
sphere.
week we started this. We started talking about our sphere of influence. And there's a couple different ways that you can talk to your sphere with through the pictures and stuff. If you're playing basketball, if you're at a cookout, if you're at a party, which it's party season. So a lot of times you're going to be doing get-togethers with your family and friends and stuff. And I have a ton of scripts. Century 21 has a ton of scripts. And of course, when you're doing scripts, you want to read them, but you want to make them your own as well. So you don't want to sound like a robot when you're talking to people. So, but you get the gist of what it is. And when you're doing all these role play things, practice over and over and over again in front of a mirror, with your spouse, with your sister, with your brother. Just practice with someone else so you can get used to talking, excuse me, about a specific topic.
Mhm.
Um, and that'll help you. So one of the things that we didn't cover last week was, how long have you been in real estate? So I'm your sphere, we're at a party and we're talking about stuff and you bring up real estate, Tony, you're the agent. So how long have you been in real estate, Tony?
Well, I've been in real estate, so I'm going. Well, they'll jump back if you're a newer agent. So I've been in real estate. I just joined our team at Century 21 Homestar about a year ago, and my office has been in business 25 years, Century 21 50 years, and we've sold thousands and thousands of homes every year. So not outside the role play, I said, get in your head, especially the newer agents or agents that think that people, if they're asking you just to compare. So you kind of know, like if you're going into a listing presentation or you're talking to a person that wants to sell and might be selling and interviewing other agents, you have to come at that different. You got to come out with a quick elevator pitch of all the things about your office that's connected with you, so they don't think you're new and you're on your own. It's Century One Home, so you're not on your own unless you want to be left alone. So, or if it's just a friend of yours, if it's a friend of yours, just having a conversation, then you don't have to be that whole salesy thing. You know what I mean? Does that make sense, Deb? It's just like, what situation are you in? It's a friend going, hey, how long you been in real estate? You're not going to give them that pitch. But if it's just a friend of yours, yeah, so you got to see your audience and how you respond, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right. I agree with that. But you can also, like Tony said, fall back on the office, you newbie people, because you don't have the experience, but you have us. And especially if you have been meeting with me every week, or maybe we're at once a month now, or what have you, you're still learning along the way. So, if a problem comes up, I don't know how to answer. I'm just one phone call or text message away from hundreds of years of experience, right? If you add up Brenda and Tony and myself and Julia, we're about at 100 years, right? So you do have 100 years of experience with the office to fall back on, to have help. So they know that you're not just working on your own and working on the fly, that you have people you can fall back on. That's one of the
Right.
things about being with our office that's good for you guys, right?
Right. And again, it's just that it's the I know a lot of agents that have joined our office over the years. Many have joined us just because of that is the number one reason, because wherever they were at, they were on their own. They can't use the office as experience because the office was also competing with them. The broker, the managers, the owners also were selling real estate, so they can't use them because they might have lost business to them. But all of our agents could use us in their marketing and tell people about us because we're not competing against them. We're part of your team if you want to use us. So, but kind of back to why Debbie and I explained that is that use this in your scripts or things
Yes.
to say when you're talking to family and friends, and definitely during the holidays, and how to say these things to people when they ask you how long you've been in real estate.
Yeah. And then if they say, well, I'm not looking to do anything right now, you want to make sure, and especially if you're cold calling people, just say, hey, I just wanted to touch base with you, let you know that after you chit chatted a little bit, of course, that I have some really good information about credit repair that I wanted to share with a bunch of people. So I was wondering if I could send that to you. Would you mind giving me your email address? There you go. Then you get the email address, right? And you do send them something, or maybe it's something about any old thing that's happening in real estate right now. From time to time, I find a bunch of stuff and I like to share it with people. Would you be willing to be one of those people that wants to get some information about what's happening in our world?
Also homeowners definitely want, if that's the value of their home. So if you're calling some of their homeowners, hey, would you mind, can I have your email address? I could send you some time to time updates of what's happening in your market. So the values in a house is increasing, and you could say things like, well, over this year and over the last several years, I've had people reach out to me and want to wait to sell or sell sooner because they see what's happening in their market. And I would like to be that person to keep you updated on the values in your area. So most people that own a home are like, yeah, I would love to see what my value is, once a year, every quarter, what's happening in my market, because it makes people sometimes move quicker. Like, wow, I didn't know my house is worth that. They don't see, that until they're ready. So you might push them to move a little bit faster when they see what's happening in their neighborhood. Remember, we live and breathe real estate every day. Not everybody's thinking of what's the value of my house today.
Yeah, right. And your best, easiest tool out there, you Homestar agents, is your neighborhood news. So it's the easiest thing in the world for lead capture. It's the easiest thing in the world to set people up with. And they can go and see every single month what is happening in their market. This is not a CMA. This is the market report for their zip code, which gives them all the data that is specific to a certain zip code. They can change the zip codes. They can change the cities to anything in Ohio. They can look at everything if they want to.
Great.
So
All
that's
right.
just a couple more touches on the sphere of influence talks.
Next,
All
sellers.
right.
Give me a
So
question.
we did touch on sellers last week a little bit, but one of the things that I wanted to touch on was we already talked about the residential property disclosure. So we all know that that has to be completed, and it's very important that we tell everything that we know about the properties. So what if a seller has a home inspection report that they already did? Does that mean that the buyer doesn't have to do a home inspection report?
No.
No.
It doesn't mean that, no, they don't. It's not that they don't need one. They should still do one and get two. so
Right.
yeah, I could go over that. How about the question if a seller asks, do I have to give them this?
Yeah. Well, that was my next thing. Okay,
Yeah.
so if we want the buyers to do their home inspection. And mostly we're kind of talking about here, not only just regular sellers, but we're talking about agent owned, you guys. So guys who want to, you guys and gals that want to sell your own homes, you want to be an investor, right? We really, really, really need to make sure that we're talking to you guys as agents, but also as sellers, and going over the things that are going to keep you out of trouble.
Well,
So that's kind of what I'm going with that.
yeah, no,
So
well, I'll go through some points on that.
I'm
So
the seller. I'm the agent. I'm going to sell my own home. Okay. And
yeah,
I'm talking to you about that.
well, yeah,
So
definitely. Go ahead.
I already got a home inspection report for the property. So I'm just going to put that in the supplements.
Sure. So as the agent broker, I would say to that agent owner, I would say for any owner, is that I highly recommend that you require any buyer to do a home inspection. And a lot of times sellers or even agents that are sellers say, well, what happens if they don't want one? I
Yeah.
said, you should require one. You're allowed to require a buyer to do a home inspection. Sometimes some agents or some sellers think, no, I can't make a buyer do a home inspection. You said 100% can make a buyer do a home inspection, just like your 100% will make a buyer pay you what you want for your house, right? You're going to let the
Right.
buyer do whatever they want. They want to pay 20,000 less for your house. What are you going to say? No. All right. When the buyer says, hey, I don't want a home inspection, you say no. But then the number one thing, I know I'm jumping back from role playing, is that why sellers come up to me, well, why don't you want to have this buyer do a home inspection? Oh, because it's being sold as is. Well, I try to explain to agents that are agent owners and sellers is that as is in legal sense, I'm putting my legal cap on of being a broker for 25 years in situation, it does not mean as is that anything wrong with the house, you're just accepting. As is means by state of Ohio, my interpretation, my experience is that you as a seller have to notify the buyer of everything you know about the house that could be a defect or a problem or a repair. Even if you fix something, you have to let them know what you fixed and what you didn't do. Then it's as is means anything that you don't know as
Right.
a seller. Where the discrepancy comes in and where the problems come in is that something goes wrong with the house, or they find something and they think you as a seller or seller's agent knew about it. That's where the legal problem comes. So a lot of, and again, when we get in the situation, sometimes sellers come back and say, like, well, it's sold as is. No, that not what that means. It means that as is to me means that you as a seller are not going to do any repairs. Like if they find things, you're not going to replace the roof, you're not going to do this. It's as is, the condition is, and I'm going to tell you everything it is. So back to the inspection, a little role playing, said, Mr. or Mrs. Seller or agent seller, this really does protect you as a seller, because when the buyer does their home inspection, there is a professional home inspector that knows homes. They will find things in your house. It's good to them to find things, because if they find them now, it's better than finding them afterwards. Also, if they don't find anything, and that all don't see anything, because this happens sometimes, people go up into an attic way in the corner, find some mold, or in the basement behind paneling, and because they remodeled the basement, saw water coming in, and then you have a report as a seller from a buyer and a licensed inspector couldn't see it, then that helps protect you. This is all my opinion, you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are protected more than the buyer when you have the buyer has an inspection, because you have that inspection report to go back to. Like if they think that you should have told them about something, like your own inspector who knows inspections, who's a licensed inspector, didn't even see that and didn't notice that. So we see time and time and time again that the home inspection protects the seller more than the buyer. And me as a broker of office, if it was ever selling a property or had any friend or relative sell a property, or any of our sellers, I highly recommend and say you should get an inspection. And if it was me as a seller, I would never let a buyer buy my house without an inspection. So you got to come up with things to say to a seller of why it benefits them. So if that makes sense. And then two, on a legal standpoint for our agent owners, a lot of agents and a lot of companies don't even know this, that the E&O insurance industry, not just our E&O insurance, but won't cover by seller agents for legally if the buyers don't have an inspection. This is like a insurance thing. So again, I'm putting my opinion on this. This is not 1,000% proven because we haven't gone through every scenario. But I tell this about insurance. Is that any insurance? What's the first thing insurance does when there's a problem? They try to get out of it, right?
Yep.
You get in a car wreck. Was it your fault or their fault? Did you do it on purpose or did they do it? If your house burns down, did you burn it down or did it burn down by accident? Sure. So in real estate, and I try to explain to our agents, and I explain to any agent watching this, is if you sell your own property, definitely have the buyer do an inspection so they can't come back to you and said you convinced the buyer not to do an inspection and buying your own property as an agent, when as an agent owner that you recommend to your buyers always have an inspection. So why wouldn't you push the buyer of your own property to do that? So hopefully that made some sense. So sorry if I took too long on that.
No, that's absolutely correct. I mean, and you went into details as to why. So the same conversation goes with the home warranty. If you're talking to a regular seller and you're going through the contract and you say, so this is where you can offer a home warranty on the property if you want to. They cost about $500. It's up to you, Mr. Seller. However, on the flip side of that, going along with the E&O insurance requirements that we all know here working at the brokerage, is that it's another thing they look for. If you don't have that home warranty being offered or paid for in the deal and a claim comes up, that could be another loophole that the insurance company's looking at, saying, oh, I'm not going to cover you because you're trying to hide stuff. As an agent selling their own property is what we're talking about.
Right.
Covering the agent.
I tell every agent when selling their own property, not just with us, just home inspection, home warranty. How hard is it for a home warranty? It just costs, and it shows good faith that you think all the appliances, because that's one of the number one complaints buyers have after closing, is something broke, and then they argue with you, what fixed, especially for agents. Again, my opinion, I really don't understand when a seller gets list price or above list price and still doesn't want to offer a home warranty to a buyer. This protects you more than them. That's the question from the experience, is that when after sale, and the dishwasher breaks, the washing machine breaks, the refrigerator ice machine doesn't work, something doesn't work, they always go back. The seller knew about this, it broke before, they didn't tell us they repaired it. And this could save the seller a lot of time and aggravation afterwards by just putting that home warranty on there. And again, we have to use, and I'm happy, and Deb too, all of our experience in coming across these issues, because a lot of agents, I hear this almost several times a week, this has never happened to me before. Or a seller only sells their property once, how many sales they have, 3-4 times their whole lifetime, so they don't understand, I don't understand why this protects me, but we know it does, right, Deb?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if you're getting over market value for your house, $1,000 or $10,000, $1,000 or $10,000. Which would you rather pay? And 1,000, I'm talking about home warranty, home inspection, if they wanted to be so kind as to pay for it for the buyer, if the buyer doesn't want to do it. It saves you guys.
Yes, and also the question we get from sellers too sometimes is unfair. And sorry to bring up not a fun topic, but we have people that deaths in the home. My opinion, sometimes some sellers read the property disclosure in Ohio and say, I'm only disclosing what they require me to. Again, my experience as being broker in tens of thousands, I was last 25 years, probably 35,000, 40,000 homes. We come across issues. I say anything to a seller, anything that you think that would would make the buyer decide not to buy your house or could affect their decision to buy your house, disclose. Tell them, hey, by the way, when you see that nice park that's right in the backyard of my house,
Mhm.
in the summertime, see that, ooh, look at that nice baseball field that's like 10 feet from my backyard, and they have little kids. I can't wait to play in it. Guess what? Every night in the summertime, screaming people. I've had people complain, call us, screaming people in the backyard. The seller never told us that's they have softball leagues there every night from 5 o'clock to 10 p.m. every night in the summertime.
Yeah.
And
What do you
uh,
think is happening there, right?
what do you think? Oh, the next door neighbor, it has a car business that he, repairing cars that, not on the officially in his garage, and every weekend they're revving engines every Saturday and Sunday all day long. Anything that, again, should they be able to come back at you, the seller? No, it's not legally have to be disclosed, but it could be a problem. Again, this is my opinion, I'm not an attorney, but anybody could sue anybody for anything. So to
Right.
have people take legal action against sellers for stuff, technically division of or the state of Ohio laws is outside of that, especially if there's deaths in the house. There's ways. I won't say on here what my suggestion is, exactly what to do and how to do it, but if any agent wants to know, because I don't want this, I'm not doing anything wrong, but I said I have opinions on when to disclose, how to disclose to people if there's a death in the property, to protect our sellers
Right.
there. So again, nothing wrong. There's nothing. But I just want to explain our agents when I think the best time to do that, because sometimes you want to keep it private. You don't want to make it all private, public to everybody who sees, anywhere on the internet that there, something happened, because sometimes it's very things that are very personal. So hopefully that gave you some ideas of things to talk to sellers about, right?
Yep. All right, move on to your buyers now.
Buyer.
Excuse me. So I know
Okay.
we didn't even get into buyers last week, so we're going to talk about this a little bit. But
Yeah.
um, if you have someone that calls you just out of the blue and wants to go look at a house, the first conversation that you should have with that buyer is, I'm the buyer. Hey, Tony, I saw this house on Zillow. I want to go look at it. What is our first conversation supposed to look like?
Well, is this someone that just you don't know, just out of the
Someone you
blue?
don't know.
Yes, definitely do a little research to say, oh, great, they were you saw that on Zillow, and did you see my name on that, or did you find me online? Did you see a sign? Where did you come across my information?
Okay. Well, I saw the phone number there. It was an 800 number, and I called the 800 number, and the girls in the office gave me your name.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, would love to get some information about you and what your needs and wants are, or what you're looking for. So is this a specific house you want to see, like today, this week? When are you looking to buy? Do you have something to sell? I would like to, go over a few things with you before we get into this house. So I could make sure, I'm giving you the most accurate and best knowledge and information for you.
Well, I just want to go see it tonight. Can't we go see it tonight?
Well, tonight, I'm really booked tonight, but I'd be happy to schedule an appointment with you for, maybe tomorrow. But I will like to get a little bit more information about you, like who you are, or, where do you live, a little bit about you, so I know who I'm dealing with, because I'm normally just deal with by referral only, and I'd love to get to know you before we build a relationship with you, if that's okay.
Good. That's a good start. So everybody, what he's doing is he's trying to find out exactly who this is. So are they legit, first of all? Are they really looking at it? And are they going to be a qualified buyer? So coming up to the fact that, okay, so they decide they're going to meet at Starbucks and they're going to get together and they're going to have their buyer's consultation. You can use the buyer's guide, Homestar Agents, that I have created in Moxie Present. It's already there for you. You can send that out to people in a PDF form, or you could also use it like to help you guide you in your presentation when you're talking to people.
And, and
Go ahead.
one other quick script that just came to mind that I've used with buyers said, sometimes when buyers, the things I was just saying, sometimes they go, well, I just want to see the house. I go, well, if you could give me, like 10, 15 minutes of your time so I could ask you some questions, because I don't just show houses. I work with buyers. And if they go, well, what does that mean? I go, well, people call up and want to see houses all the time, just want to see them. Just like, I just want to see them. But I said, I don't just show houses, like just because anybody calls up, wants to see the house. I work with buyers. So I want to make sure, that you're a buyer, like, what are you looking for? How long you've been looking for houses? What size bedroom? Are you pre-approved? I want to at least get to know you to make sure you're interested in buying, and in respect for the sellers. We as agents tell ourselves we're not going to just bring anybody into your home that just wants to see it. We're going to bring actual buyers that may actually be interested in buying your home and are actively looking. So you could kind of blame it on the seller a little bit in our industry, because that's really what we should do. No one should be able to just say, hey, I want to go see that house with no reasoning behind it, because
Correct.
nosy neighbors, or I just want to see what the house looks like, or that looks cool,
Yeah.
just we have, you can just blame not blame, but explain why we want to get to know you more. Just a name and you call the office is not enough information to get you into. We got to know where, you could push it as much as you want. I wouldn't go, where do you live? What's your address? What is this, your phone number? And who else is going to be coming to see the property, and how long you've been, I have a whole checklist of a few things to ask, at least to get to the door on that.
Correct. Yeah. That goes a long way, because you don't want to be wasting your time either. Excuse me. There
That's
are other programs out there that are kind of quiet right now, because that's what the industry is happening with, realtor.coms and stuff like that, that send leads over. And those are people just clicking in places, right? So all the time I get questions of, why don't we get any leads from the office? Well, because no one's calling the office. If someone was calling the office, we go through whoever is listed in that city, and we just go down the roster list and ask them if they want the lead, but they don't do that anymore. Back in I want to say before 2017-ish or so, Tony, wouldn't you agree? The phone used to ring off the hook all the time. We are always constantly, the phone was ringing with people trying to find homes. And then when Zillow and realtor.com came into play, the phone stopped ringing, right? It's like, well, how come the phone's not ringing
right.
anymore?
Yeah,
Because
no,
they don't need to call. They can go online and look themselves. So we just
right.
have to make sure that they are uh, a qualified buyer, because you don't want to waste your time or the seller's
Exactly.
time.
And just on that topic, and thanks for watching and listening. I want to give you the 30, in less than 2 minutes, I'll give you the 30-year history of the real estate leads and buyers and sellers, and why today, in my opinion, is the best time for realtors to get into real estate as an individual agents trying to build their own business. 30 years ago, there was no internet. So if you were selling a house, say, in Solon, Ohio, or Cleveland Heights, or South Euclid, or Westlake, or Columbus, or Cincinnati, or Dublin, or wherever you're doing, people just drove to the closest real estate office after they ate dinner. And we used to just sit there and just wait for people to come in, or they would call the office and the agents. So you position yourself as an agent in the city, in the area you wanted to do business in. And you rarely sold houses outside of a geographic area, because the sellers and buyers will only wanted to use agents in those areas. So number one, and then next, the internet came, and more buyers and things were looking on websites from companies, looking at century21.com or Keller Williams or howardhanna.com. And then we were getting all those internet because they were skipping driving to the office or skipping calling and going online. And then those leads were coming in, but they were still specific to areas. And then the Zillows and the realtor.coms came in, took those leads, and people went online. And now we're using that and connecting with agents. And now it's beyond that. Now the buyers and sellers are looking online, but a majority of them are calling their agent that they've built a relationship up with, from agents reaching out to them to go show them the house or list their property. So they're using the database, but there's not as many leads online as you think there are. So the people calling the office and driving the office are gone. The people that you used to go to the office websites, directly, are gone. The people are going to realtor.com and Zillow are still there, but the majority of them used to just type in, I want information, and wait for an agent to call them. Now the consumers and the people out, the public, have caught on to that, well, they're giving me to agents that are not the right agents. They're giving me to agents at this, and they caught on that, no, these are not the agents that they're giving leads to agents that might not even be in that area.
Yeah.
For that house, not the listing agent. It might not even be the agent that's even close to this. It's just, they just sell the leads. And now more and more agents are really doing a great job of marketing themselves to people. Say, call me first. Yes, you could go on Zillow, you could go onto realtor.com, but don't text those people, because they're going to hound you. Call me and I'll help you. So that's, if that gives you an idea of why working with buyers, you should say, you can't stop them from going online, but really have that conversation with them. Please do not type into that search, get me information, because this is going to be sent out to many, might be more than one agent. They're all going to be calling you and texting you, and you don't know who those people are. If you're looking, look. Don't communicate. Call me and I'm happy to help you. Hopefully that was a little script on dealing with buyers, because you're never going to stop them from going online if they're active. So, but make
Absolutely.
sure they know that.
And that's why you want to make a relationship with them, show them your value of what you're going to do with them. And when you do sit down and talk to a buyer about what you're going to do with them, I do suggest a buyer's consultation that goes over the exclusive buyer's agency agreement and also everything that you're going to do with them. If you can get them to sit down and talk to you for an hour, go through the paperwork as well. So it's not a big shock when you're trying to write an offer and they have to go through 20 pages and they're like, I don't even know what I'm signing. I'm just doing what you told me to do. Right.
So we could go on for hours and hours.
Right.
But yeah, call Debbie and we'll go over it. But yes, just the last thing I'll leave on buyers that I always did and always push. When you start working with a buyer, give them a copy of all the contracts. Tell them to go through all of that stuff. And every time you meet with them, every time you talk to them, hey, you went through the contract. So when any questions on it? And if they say, well, no, we haven't gone through it, I go, okay, make sure you go through it. So when we're ready to write an offer, you're ready. We don't have to spend 3 hours trying to figure out, and you get all nervous about how things work. So when you're ready to find that right house, where all your questions are answered, you know where to fill it, or I'm going to be sending you what I'm going to be filling in, and you're ready to sign. Because you don't want to sit there then having to explain the contract to people So that's my opinion. You have all that time, because I've buyers of agents, and W2 our agents on the phone. We're helping them through a contract, and they've been working with this buyer for 6 months, and their buyer has all these questions about the contract. I'm like, you've had 6 months to prep them.
Yeah, they're both clueless. Exactly. Yep.
Go through it now, and then as much as possible. I mean, you're always going to have exposure, but at least it's not the first time they sell. Like, wow, look at all this paperwork. So you send them stuff on that. So I'm sorry, I
And
know we're going over
no, that's
time,
okay.
but
The other thing I want to leave with that with the buyers is make sure you're explaining what earnest money is and why they need it, because that's another thing that people don't understand, that they really should have earnest money at the time they're writing the offer, and this is money they have to give at that time and not at the closing. So that is another thing that confuses people. I didn't take December 2nd off of here, so of course core law is already gone. We got one more class till the end of the year, and that's Frosty's Finances with Hush Sagafi. You can always go to the website and see if there's anything else popping up along the way, because as soon as we get the information, we do put it on there. And of
yeah,
course,
there
if
is
you need,
there's one I just John Dewey sent out today. I think he has a fair housing one on December 14th. So we'll be able
oh,
to
okay.
I'm almost positive that's the date, but we'll try to add that to our website, the Free Ohio CE, and we'll show that on our slides for next week.
Very
So
good. Okay, also great. Um, this is a little dude that you can send out to everybody. This is in your Moxie Works system, Homestar Agents. I thought this was really cute because it could be any kind of holiday. It doesn't necessarily have to be Christmas. It could be Hanukkah. It could be anything. And it's puppy dogs. Who doesn't love puppy dogs? But when you make this stuff in your system, down there where it says agent photo and agent information, it's going to pull directly from the system and put that on there for you. So it's really, really easy to get marketing material out there, you guys, because it's already done. You just have to use it.
great. Is that the last one? Oh, there you go.
No, just Happy New Year.
Happy
Make
New
sure that you're
Year.
sending out a Happy New Year to everyone, whether it's your family, your friends, people you wish you were working with, contractors that you know. Contractors are another good lead source, you guys. You can switch clients back and forth. So if you want to build your business, build your vendor list so
Yeah,
that
this
you
is the
have people
time.
to refer.
Right. This is the time should be your busiest time. You should be putting the most, I'm sorry to say, the most hours of work in December before the holidays. This should be personally calling everybody that's on your database of just wishing them a happy holidays. That's it. That's it. This is the perfect time. You have a reason to call anybody. Even if you like, well, I called these people, you don't even have to see when you called the people last. You might have called them 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, beginning of November, you called them and you're like, well, I call them every 6 months or once a year. We'll call them again. It's because this is a happy holidays.
Yep.
You're not calling them for business. You're calling for happy holidays. So you should be putting this time of year, the December should be your busiest, putting in the most hours of work. And most agents do the opposite. Like, oh, people are busy. I'm like, you're calling and say happy holidays. They're not too busy for that. Or
Yeah.
leave them a message, send them a text. This is the time that you should be spending the most time connecting with people. So,
Yep.
all right. Well, we kept you along today. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Remember, reach out to Debbie or myself and we'll role play more and give you ideas and things to say. There's no exact way to do things, but like Debbie said, make it your own. But we could give you ideas on things that we see work and what other agents are saying and to get more clients. So, all right,
Yep.
that's it. Well, have a good week and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.